What if I told you that right now, in universities and offices across the world, millions of people are taking pills, not to get high, but to try to get smarter? You know those ads flooding your social media, the ones promising to unlock your brain's hidden potential with some miracle pill? But before you start picturing Bradley Cooper and Limitless, most of what is currently available on the market is simply not working as advertised. Most of this is playing on our desires to maintain or expand our edge on others, cognitively. Today, we're about to separate the science from the snake oil. Humans have been trying to enhance their cognitive abilities since we had cognition to enhance. Ancient Greeks would wear rosemary sprigs in their hair, believing it would improve their memory. And you know what? Modern science shows they weren't entirely wrong. Rosemary does contain compounds that can slightly enhance cognitive performance. Fast forward to today, and we're not just talking about herbs anymore. We're in an arms race, not of weapons, but of wits. With artificial intelligence advancing at breakneck speed, people are increasingly looking for ways to keep up. From Silicon Valley executives to medical students pulling all-nighters, the pressure to perform at peak cognitive capacity has never been higher. But here's where it gets concerning. While your grandparents might have relied on coffee to stay alert, today's cognitive enhancers are far more sophisticated and potentially more risky. We're talking about substances that claim to increase your memory capacity, enhance your focus, and improve your ability to learn new skills. Some are prescription medications being used off-label, such as Adderall. Others are unregulated supplements, and still others are cutting-edge compounds that blur the line between medicine and technology. Welcome to Apprentice.io's Industry Insights. I'm Frank Maggiore, and today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of nootropics and cognitive enhancers, the so-called smart drugs that promise to boost your brain power. We're going to separate fact from fiction, examine the real clinical evidence, and explore how modern manufacturing technology can help personalize and advance the field. When it comes to nootropics, most drugs only provide minor, statistically insignificant improvements. You're certainly not taking a pill and turning into Einstein overnight. As someone who works in pharmaceutical manufacturing, I find the overpromising of nootropic supplements particularly troubling. Because while legitimate drug manufacturers must validate every step of their process, ensure precise dosing, and prove their claims through rigorous clinical trials, many nootropic supplements exist in a regulatory gray area where marketing claims often outpace the scientific evidence. So before you rush to join what some are calling the nootropics revolution, we need to ask some serious questions. What does the science actually say about these substances? How are they manufactured and regulated? And perhaps, most importantly, are we risking our brain health chasing a cognitive edge that might not even exist? Today, we're going to look at the evidence, the real, peer-reviewed, clinically tested evidence. We'll explore how these substances are manufactured, what quality controls exist or doesn't exist, and what data actually shows about their effectiveness. We'll also discuss why basic lifestyle factors like sleep, exercise, and proper nutrition might give you better cognitive enhancement than any pill currently on the market. Whether you're a skeptic, a biohacker, or just someone trying to understand this brave new world of cognitive enhancement, stick around, because by the end of this episode, you'll have the information you need to make informed decisions about these substances, and maybe save yourself some money in the process. Because remember, when something sounds too good to be true, it probably is, even if it comes in a bottle labeled Genius Formula. Let's get something straight right away. Not everything marketed as a smart drug is actually smart, and very few of these substances have the scientific backing their marketing claims would suggest. To qualify as a true nootropic, a substance needs to meet specific criteria, first established by Dr. Corneliu Gorgia in 1972. Think of it as the "does this actually make you smarter" test. And spoiler alert, most products on the market today don't even come close to meeting these standards. A real nootropic should enhance learning and memory, protect the brain from physical and chemical injury, have very few side effects, and extremely low toxicity, and, this is crucial, show clear evidence of these benefits in controlled clinical trials. Now let's break down the main categories of cognitive enhancers that actually have some scientific backing. And I mean real, peer-reviewed research, not just some testimonials from Instagram influencers. We've got racetams, the grandfather family of nootropics, which includes compounds like piracetam. Fun fact, piracetam, the first synthetic nootropic, show some mild improvements in memory tasks during some studies. It's not nothing, but it's a far cry from the limitless brain boost some sellers are promising. Then there's cholerogenics, which work on your brain's acetylcholine system. Think alpha-GPC and acetylcholine. These have shown some promise in treating cognitive decline, but in healthy individuals, the evidence is, let's say, underwhelming. Natural compounds like Bacopa monnieri and ginkgo biloba make up another category. Bacopa actually has some decent research behind it. But here's the catch. You need to take it for 12 weeks before seeing any effects. Not exactly helpful for cramming the night before an exam. And finally, we have the newer synthetic compounds like modafinil and Noopept. Modafinil is probably the most studied cognitive enhancer. And yes, it does improve attention and working memory, but mainly in sleep-deprived people. For well-rested individuals, the effects are much more modest than you might expect. Let's talk numbers, because this is where marketing hype meets scientific reality. A comprehensive review of piracetam studies showed about a 15% improvement in memory tasks, which is not bad, but most other nootropics show even smaller effects than that. What's particularly fascinating and concerning is how individual responses vary. Your genetic makeup, current cognitive baseline, and even what you ate for breakfast can affect how these substances will work for you. But one person's brain boost might be another person's very expensive urine. From a manufacturing perspective, this presents huge challenges. In our pharmaceutical work, we need to ensure exact dosages and purity. Many nootropic supplements are produced with far less rigorous standards. When you're dealing with compounds that affect brain function, that's not just concerning, it's potentially dangerous. And here's the kicker. The most promising research actually points to something far less sexy than a magic pill. Good old-fashioned healthy habits, regular exercise, adequate sleep, and a healthy diet. But that's harder to package and sell than a pill promising instant genius, isn't it? Let's dive into the fascinating world of nootropics and cognitive enhancers, substances that promise to make us smarter, more focused, or mentally sharper. But before you get too excited, we need to set some realistic expectations. First, let's break down the main categories of nootropics. There are natural herbal nootropics. Think of these as the farm-to-brain options. These include substances like caffeine, L-theanine from tea, and herbs like Bacopa monnieri. They generally have milder effects, but also fewer side effects. There are synthetic nootropics, the lab-created compounds, including the racetam family. These are like the Tesla versions of brain supplements, engineered specifically for cognitive enhancement, but still debatable in terms of real-world benefits. Then there are prescription medications. These are the heavy hitters. FDA-approved drugs like modafinil and Adderall, originally designed for specific medical conditions, but often used off-label as cognitive enhancers. Now, when we talk about cognitive enhancement, we're not just talking about becoming better at Wordle. Different nootropics target various aspects of intelligence. Memory enhancement, both short-term and long-term. Focus and attention, processing speed, pattern recognition, creativity, emotional intelligence, mathematical ability, and spatial awareness. But here's where it gets interesting and medically important. Many of these substances were originally developed to help people with serious cognitive conditions. Alzheimer's patients struggling with memory loss, ADHD individuals fighting to maintain focus, stroke survivors working to regain cognitive function, aging adults battling general cognitive decline, and narcolepsy patients trying to stay awake and alert. Now let's look at the top 15 most common nootropics, and spoiler alert, they're not all miracle pills. We'll start off with modafinil, originally targeted for narcolepsy. It promotes wakefulness and attention. Clinical trials show improved cognitive performance in sleep-deprived individuals, but effects in healthier people are more modest. Side effects include headaches and potential sleep disruption. Next up is piracetam, the grandfather of synthetic nootropics. Studies show mixed results in healthy individuals, but some evidence for improved memory in aging adults. Generally well tolerated, but can cause headaches. Caffeine and L-theanine, the classic coffee and tea combo, well studied with reliable but modest cognitive benefits. L-theanine helps reduce caffeine's jitters, probably what most people should start off with before deep diving into stronger options. Bacopa monnieri is a traditional herb with actual clinical evidence for memory enhancement, but requires several months of use. It can cause digestive issues and certainly isn't a quick fix. Next up, rhodiola rosea is an adaptogenic herb that helps with stress and mental fatigue. There is good evidence for its anti-fatigue effects, less so for direct cognitive enhancement. Adderall, the college student study drug of choice, is very effective, but also very risky, with potential for addiction and serious side effects. It's only legal with a prescription. Noopep is the new kid on the block, a synthetic with rapid effects, but still limited human research. It's popular in the nootropics community, but needs more scientific validation. Ashwagandha is a traditional herb showing promise for stress reduction and cognitive protection. It has a good safety profile, but is only showing some moderate effects. Then there's lion's mane mushroom. There is emerging evidence for neurogenesis and some cognitive protection. It is safe, but the effects are subtle and long-term. Alpha GPC is a choline source that may improve memory and cognitive function. There is mixed evidence, but it is relatively safe. Creatine, yes, that creatine, the same supplement bodybuilders use. Creatine is showing promise for cognitive enhancement, especially in vegetarians. It's well studied, safe, and may overcome prejudices of only meatheads working out in the gym. Ginkgo biloba is popular but controversial. There's some evidence for improved blood flow to the brain, but the benefits are modest at best. Methylphenidate, also known as Ritalin, is similar to Adderall. It's effective, but it's restricted to prescription use, and there is significant potential for abuse and dependency of the drug. Up next is nicotine in non-smoking forms. It's surprisingly effective as a cognitive enhancer, but as we all know, it's highly addictive. It's not recommended due to the health risks that it brings along with it. And we'll close out with Huperzine A. It shows promise for memory enhancement, but needs more research. It's relatively safe, but right now, it's very expensive. Here's the reality check. Most of these substances show only modest effects at best in healthy individuals. The most dramatic results are seen in people with cognitive impairments just returning to the baseline and not for the creation of super geniuses. As with so many other things about your brain, your subjective experience is personal, and many of these factors are exceedingly difficult to test or develop good data sets across large populations with consistent results. And the elephant in the room, the placebo effect is powerful with nootropics. Many people taking these substances feel smarter simply because they expect to feel smarter, or that they paid good money to feel smarter and to perform better. So you believe you have an edge, and then you work harder, which then reinforces the behavior and your beliefs. Let's talk numbers, and they're big ones. The global nootropics market hit $14 billion in 2023 and is projected to nearly triple by 2031, primarily brought on by an aging population looking to maintain their mental capacities as they get older. But unlike your local supplement store's brain boost aisle, the most interesting developments are happening in pharmaceutical-grade manufacturing facilities, where precision isn't just preferred, it's legally required. Think manufacturing nootropics is just mixing some powders together? Think again. We're dealing with compounds that need to be accurate, down to the microgram. That's 1/1,000,000th of a gram. Get it wrong, and you're not just making an ineffective product, you could be creating a public health risk. This is where things get really concerning. The supplement industry operates under much looser regulations than pharmaceutical manufacturing. While we in the pharma industry must validate every step of our process, many supplement manufacturers aren't held to the same standards. A 2020 study found that over 40% of nootropic supplements didn't contain the amounts of ingredients listed on their labels. Some contain none at all. But how could you be sure you're getting what's on the label? This is where cloud-based manufacturing execution systems, or MES, become crucial, not just for tracking production, but for ensuring safety and consistency. But here's the problem. Most nootropic supplements, they aren't made this way. They're often produced in facilities with minimal oversight, using ingredients of questionable origin. Want to know exactly how pure that piracetam powder was when it entered production? In pharmaceutical manufacturing, we have the records for that. Need to verify that the temperature never exceeded 30 degrees Celsius during compounding? It's all there in real time. But in the supplement world, good luck getting that information. Let's talk quality control, because this is where things get serious. We're not making gummy vitamins here. These are compounds that directly affect brain function. While the FDA might not regulate all nootropics as drugs, Legitimate pharmaceutical manufacturers are adopting GMP, good manufacturing practice standards, because when you're in the business of affecting brain chemistry, trust and precision are everything. Here's a mind-bending challenge. How do you validate that your manufacturing process is consistent when the regulatory requirements are so inconsistent? This is where artificial intelligence and MES systems is changing the game. These systems can learn from each production run, identifying patterns and potential issues before they become problems. And let's not forget about traceability in a world where counterfeit nootropics are becoming a serious problem, particularly for medicines like Adderall and Ritalin. Blockchain-enabled MES systems can track every ingredient from source to consumer. That nootropic you're about to take, in a properly manufactured product, you should be able to trace it back to the exact batch it came from, when it was made, and every test it passed along the way. The future? It's already happening in pharmaceutical manufacturing. Some cutting-edge facilities are using real-time testing and AI-driven quality control to ensure consistency and safety. But until the supplement industry is held to similar standards, buying nootropics remains a bit like playing Russian roulette with your brain chemistry. The key takeaway? If you're considering nootropics, look for companies that voluntarily submit to pharmaceutical-grade manufacturing standards. Yes, their products will cost more, but when it comes to brain-active compounds, cutting corners on quality to save a few bucks is a gamble you really don't want to take. If you think popping pills is the only way to boost your brain power, hold on to your neurons. We're about to venture into the world of direct brain manipulation, and this is where some actual science gets real interesting. Let's start with transcranial direct current stimulation, or TDCS. Imagine putting a 9-volt battery on your head and adding a little excitability to your neurons. That's basically what TDCS is, except it's carefully controlled and backed by legitimate research. By passing a tiny electrical current through specific parts of your brain, researchers have found that they can temporarily enhance certain cognitive functions. I looked into TDCS as part of my mother's recovery from her stroke to help aid in her brain stimulation. This is the kit that I picked up. It's got the electrodes and the battery pack in here that you can control. There are a number of papers supporting this approach, but it's still early days and gets met with a lot of skepticism from doctors who think at best it's likely not to cause any harm. The US military has been studying this technology to train snipers. It helps with focus and concentration because apparently regular target practice wasn't exciting enough. But here's where the science gets real. Controlled studies show TDCS can improve working memory by up to 30% in very specific tasks. That's actually better than most chemical nootropics. The catch? The effects are temporary, and we're still figuring out why it works better for some people than others. The problem with current electrical stimulation methods is precision, where the stimulation is generally much too broad and is difficult to place the electrodes that map to specific regions of the brain. Everyone's brain is also different, so we need much more refined targeting to get consistent, more reliable results, and just better data overall on the subject. This is where modern technology and artificial intelligence could help advance the field in legitimate ways to pinpoint the precise areas of an individual's brain to target desired effects. Now let's talk brain-computer interfaces. Remember that scene in The Matrix where Neo learns Kung Fu through a brain download? We're not quite there yet, but companies like Kernel and Synchron are developing legitimate medical devices that can read brain activity and translate it into computer commands. Some patients are already using these to control computers with their thoughts, but we're talking about helping people with severe disabilities and not downloading Spanish before your next vacation. And then there's Neuralink, Elon Musk's ambitious project to put a high-bandwidth nanowire brain interface into your head. While they're starting with medical applications, such as for paraplegic patients being able to connect with computers using brain-controlled interfaces, or BCI. There's a lot of hype about future cognitive enhancement possibilities. But let's be clear, we're still working on making these interfaces safe for medical use. Recreational brain upgrades are a long way off. The really interesting part isn't just these technologies individually, but how they might work together with proper clinical validation. Imagine an AI-powered system that could identify exactly when and where to apply neuromodulation for optimal learning. But this needs to be developed with rigorous scientific methodology, not the Silicon Valley move fast and break things mentality. We're talking about people's brains after all. That's not something we want to have a software crash or get locked out of functionality by a hacker or through ransomware. But before you start saving up for your own neural implant, remember that these are technologies that are still in their infancy. Plus, there's the whole question of long-term side effects, something we need to understand much better before these become mainstream. The key difference between these approaches and nootropics: these technologies are being developed with proper medical oversight, rigorous clinical trials, and clear regulatory frameworks. When they make it to market, it won't be through the supplement aisle. It'll be through careful FDA approval processes with clear evidence of safety and efficacy. Until then, maybe focus on getting enough sleep. It's not as exciting as having a computer chip in your brain, but it's proven to work, and you don't need FDA approval to do it. Picture this: it's finals week. Half your class is running on caffeine. A quarter is using prescription ADHD medications they don't have prescriptions for. And someone just bragged about their new study stack that costs more than your monthly rent. Welcome to the ethical minefield of cognitive enhancement. Let's address the elephant in the lecture hall. Is using cognitive enhancers cheating? And more importantly, are people risking their health chasing a cognitive edge that might not even exist? When a medical student uses modafinil to study longer, are they gaining an unfair advantage or just making themselves more sleep deprived with extra steps? Some argue it's no different than drinking coffee, but there's a crucial difference. Coffee has centuries of use data and well understood risks. Many modern nootropics have barely a decade of research behind them, and it doesn't stop in academia. Wall Street traders, software developers, and even surgeons are turning to cognitive enhancers. When your job involves making split-second decisions that affect millions of dollars or human lives, is it irresponsible not to use something that could make you sharper? But here's the catch. Could these substances actually be impairing judgment while creating the illusion of enhanced performance? The thorny issue of access and inequality can't be ignored. These aren't cheap compounds, and the good stuff, the pharmaceutically pure, properly tested versions, isn't exactly available over the counter at your local pharmacy. There is a potential of creating a world where cognitive enhancement could become a luxury good, widening the gap between those who can afford the premium brain upgrade package and those who can't. Then there's the safety question. As someone in pharmaceutical manufacturing, this keeps me up at night. Sure, some clinical trials show promising short-term results, but what happens after years of use? We're essentially running a massive uncontrolled experiment on human cognition. It's like being a beta tester for your own brain, except you can't just uninstall if something goes wrong. And now throw in AI into the mix. As artificial intelligence gets smarter, there's increasing pressure to enhance human cognition just to stay relevant. But are we starting an enhancement arms race? We can't win. It's like bringing a chemically enhanced knife to an AI gunfight. The medical ethics community is particularly divided. Is cognitive enhancement a form of self-improvement, like education, or are we crossing a line by direct manipulation of our brain chemistry? Some argue it's no different than using glasses to enhance vision. Others worry we might fundamentally alter what it means to be human without understanding the long-term consequences. And let's not forget about social pressure. If everyone in your office is using cognitive enhancers, can you really afford not to? It's the same dilemma professional athletes face with steroids, except instead of bigger muscles, we're talking about better brains. But at least with steroids, we can measure muscle mass. How do you quantify cognitive enhancement when the placebo effect is so powerful? Perhaps the most unsettling question is, where does it all end? Today it's pills and electrical stimulation. Tomorrow it might be genetic engineering or neural implants. Are we ready to handle the societal implications of human cognitive enhancement becoming as routine as smartphone upgrades? The real irony, most people using nootropics today for cognitive enhancement would likely see better results from getting a proper amount of sleep consistently, exercising regularly, maintaining a healthy diet, start studying earlier and learning more effective study skills, and managing their stress more effectively. But that's a whole lot harder than just taking a pill, isn't it? Although I'm skeptical about the current state of nootropics in the supplements market, I'm more optimistic about potentially leveraging artificial intelligence, clinical trial data, and personal testing for customizing personalized nootropics for specific tasks like memory, focus, and creativity. Imagine instead of taking a one-size-fits-all brain pill, you can get a nootropic stack precisely tuned to your unique neurochemistry. Well, that's where AI and modern manufacturing systems are taking us, though we might want to keep our excitement in check until we see more clinical validation. Here's how it could work. First, you go through what I call the Goldilocks phase, testing different compounds to find out what's just right for your brain. But unlike Goldilocks, you'd have AI helping you to make these decisions. Through digital therapeutics platforms performing likely an ungodly amount of testing on a number of different intelligence and performance indicators. You track various metrics, like cognitive performance across multiple different domains, like short-term and long-term memory, focus, spatial recognition, mathematical abilities, creativity, and so on, stress levels, mood variations, sleep quality, physical biomarkers, environmental factors, and time of day effectiveness. The AI would analyze patterns in this data to identify which compounds, at which doses, and in what combinations work best for your specific goals. Want to be more creative in the morning, but analytical in the afternoon? The AI might suggest different formulations for different times of day. But here's where it gets really interesting and where manufacturing execution systems come into play. Once you've found your perfect brain recipe, you need to actually produce these personalized formulations at scale. Traditional pharmaceutical manufacturing isn't set up for this kind of mass customization. It's more like a restaurant that only serves one dish. But cloud-based manufacturing execution system platforms could transform this into a made-to-order kitchen. Think about it. Each customer's unique formulation becomes a digital recipe in the MES. The system coordinates raw material selection, precision weighing and mixing, quality control checks, packaging and labeling, batch tracking for safety, all while maintaining full compliance with GMP regulations, because we definitely don't want any oops moments when we're tinkering with brain chemistry. The catch? We're not quite there yet. While the technology exists, we're still in the early stages of understanding how different nootropics interact with individual brain chemistries. It's like having a sophisticated kitchen, but still learning how all the ingredients work together. The AI might suggest a combination that looks good on paper, but falls flat in practice. Still, this integration of AI, digital therapeutics, and advanced manufacturing systems represents the future of personalized cognitive enhancement. Although this approach wouldn't be pop a pill in preparation for a single test, but it would be like extensive preliminary training to optimize your brain for developing a long-term study regimen. This long-term approach would be similar to using a glucose meter to test every food you eat individually and in combination to determine your body's chemistry, how your body processes the food, and developing a dietary plan that will prevent diabetes possibly decades in the future. Just remember, we're talking about fine-tuning your brain chemistry, not installing a neural turbocharger. The goal is optimization, not transformation. Let's peer into our crystal ball for the near future of cognitive enhancement and separate the science fiction from scientific possibility. The year is 2030. Your morning routine includes checking your personalized health data, sleep quality, stress levels, and cognitive performance metrics. Not from some dubious brain training app, but from validated medical devices. The data isn't telling you which miracle pill to take, it's helping you to optimize the fundamentals: sleep, exercise, nutrition, and stress management. Let's talk about where all this is really heading. The divide between chemical and digital enhancement is already blurring, but not in the way that supplement companies would have you believe. The most promising developments aren't coming from the supplement industry, they're emerging from legitimate pharmaceutical research and regulated medical technology. Companies are developing smart medical devices with embedded sensors that can track their effects in real time. But here's the key difference from today's nootropics. These devices will need to pass rigorous clinical trials and meet strict FDA standards before making any cognitive enhancement claims. Think less smart drugs and more precision medicine. Instead of one-size-fits-all cognitive enhancers, we're moving towards evidence-based, personalized approaches to brain health. Remember how pharmaceutical companies used to make one-size-fits-all drugs? That's already becoming an outdated model. The future of cognitive enhancement will be tailored to your specific brain chemistry, genetics, and goals, but through proper medical channels, not supplement stores. Cloud-based manufacturing execution systems are already enabling the kind of precision and flexibility we'll need for personalized medicine. We're talking about smart factories that can produce custom formulations for patients with specific needs. Each batch validated by AI and tracked through blockchain, with every step documented and regulated. But let's zoom out for a minute. What does this mean for society? When some people have access to scientifically validated cognitive enhancement while others don't, how do we maintain any semblance of equality? It's a challenge we'll need to address through policy and ethics, not just technology. And then there's the AI question. As artificial intelligence gets more sophisticated, will chemical enhancement be enough? Or will we need to focus on augmenting human intelligence in ways that complement AI rather than compete with it? The future may not be about making humans smarter in traditional ways, but about enhancing the uniquely human aspects of cognition that AI still struggles with, creativity, emotional intelligence, and intuitive reasoning. The optimists say this is the next step in human evolution. The pessimists worry we're opening Pandora's box. The reality, the future of cognitive enhancement, will likely be more regulated, more personalized, and more evidence-based than today's Wild West of nootropics. Here's what we know for sure. The future belongs to validated, regulated technologies, not unproven supplements. Personalization will be based on real data, not marketing hype. Quality control and safety standards will become even more crucial, and basic lifestyle factors will remain foundational to cognitive performance. The real question isn't whether we'll enhance human cognition, it's how we'll do it responsibly, ethically, and with proper scientific validation. Because in the end, having a smarter brain isn't about taking the right pills, it's about making smarter choices about how we develop and use cognitive enhancement technologies. Maybe the most important enhancement we need isn't to our memory or our processing speed, but to our wisdom in handling these powerful tools. Because no pill, no device, and no implant can replace good judgment and critical thinking. As we wrap up on our journey through the world of cognitive enhancement, let's be clear about what we've learned, and more importantly, what you should take away from this discussion. First, let's acknowledge the reality. The desire for cognitive enhancement and getting an edge on the competition is strong. From university students to Silicon Valley executives, people are already pushing the boundaries of what they can get away with and trying a large number of medications, supplements, and other methods. This should all be studied, and the best cases with clear results and good safety profiles should work their way into actual clinical trials. Unlike what the marketing hype would have you believe, the most effective cognitive enhancers tend to be the most boring ones: sleep, exercise, proper nutrition, and stress management. The supplement industry wants you to believe there's a pill for everything. But as someone who works in pharmaceutical manufacturing, I can tell you that real cognitive enhancement is going to come from validated, regulated medical research. Here's what you should remember. Most nootropics don't live up to their marketing claims. Clinical evidence is often weak or non-existent. Effects are usually modest at best, and individual responses may vary dramatically. Quality control matters enormously. Many supplements don't contain what they claim. Pharmaceutical-grade manufacturing standards exist for a reason. You need to know what you're putting into your body. And the future of cognitive enhancement lies in personalized medicine based on real data, regulated medical devices, and treatments. We need to have integration with AI rather than competition against it, and evidence-based approaches to brain health. For manufacturers, this means embracing the technologies and standards that enable precision and safety. For regulators, it means developing frameworks that ensure safety while fostering innovation. And for you, our listeners, stay skeptical, demand evidence, support companies and researchers who are doing this right. Because the future of cognitive enhancement isn't about trying to create superhumans, it's about helping every human reach their full potential through validated, scientific approaches with the lowest risk to yourself. Remember, if someone's promising you a miracle pill that will make you a genius overnight, they're probably more interested in your wallet than in your brain. The real path to cognitive enhancement starts with the basics. Sleep well, eat right, exercise regularly, and never stop learning. Until next time, keep thinking critically. No nootropics required. In an industry where precision and compliance are paramount, Apprentice's Tempo platform offers a cutting-edge manufacturing execution system solution. It's cloud-based, mobile-first, operator-centric, with the most intuitive UI in the industry, making it perfect for today's dynamic pharmaceutical manufacturing environments and for the production of the world's most complex drug products. Whether you're working on groundbreaking cell and gene therapies, biologics, or small molecules, Tempo provides a fully validated MES system that's both powerful and easy to use. It streamlines your processes, ensures compliance, and adapts to your specific manufacturing needs. So get off of paper batch records and discover how Apprentice's Tempo Manufacturing Cloud can transform your operations by visiting us at apprentice.io. Attention industry professionals, revolutionize your manufacturing process with the Apprentice Tempo Manufacturing Cloud, a manufacturing execution system built to streamline your operations, boost efficiency, and ensure compliance all in one powerful platform. Experience the future of manufacturing with our free 30-day trial. Scan the QR code on your screen now to unlock a world of innovation. Don't just keep pace, set the tempo as an industry leader with Apprentice. That's all for Apprentice.io's Industry Insights. I'm Frank Maggiore. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for notifications when new episodes drop. Please comment on if you have any additional topics you would like for me to cover in this space, and we'll see you next week for more industry insights.